Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Jabroni Drive. On this week's episode, Logan Paul, Santos Escobar, LA Knight, Damien Priest, Mami, Drew, and Seth. War games! And so much more. Timmy, anything you got to say to all the Schmidt-Lavellites out there?
I am JEFFJARRETT. I am Jeff Jarrett. Flat nuts, baby.
Double J, Jeff Jarrett. I love it.
That was on a win, too. I just came up with it. I remember that. I don't know if it was the whole promo, but I know that's what he used to say. I used to try to rattle it off pretty quickly, you know?
Oh, dude, that was great. JEFFJARRETT. That's Double J, Jeff Jarrett.
That's it.
I love that one. That's a classic. And I love you, the listeners. Everyone out there listening right now. Thank you for listening. If you're not already doing it, give us a subscribe, a follow, a share. Do something, interact, leave a comment, whatever you'd like, and we'll get back to you. Timmy, let's jump right into it. Big show, a lot of things going on. First thing I want to talk about is Mr. Logan Paul. So last week we talked about his match with Rey Mysterio and the spot with the, looks like the spring off the ropes where he goes and catches him. And we're saying, man, if he caught him and that was a thing, that's like major kudos and major like cred in the locker room. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
So we've been waiting to hear the answer, and we got a little bit from Logan Paul on his show Impulsive, and I'm going to read it to you right now. And this is a quote. Look, I'm going to come clean because I've seen all these positive headlines saying things like Logan saves Rey Mysterio. The Mexican community is going crazy. They're praising me, saying I'm sort of a hero. So I'm like, dang, I'm being recognized for doing something cool. I'll take it. But then I looked at the clip, and upon assessing my performance, while I did think I saved Rey, I think I almost killed Rey as well. I think I was too far back for the move, and he didn't clear enough ground. That's what happened. I was too far back, and he didn't clear enough ground. We both made a mistake. I had to catch him. I wasn't going to catch him. I wasn't going to not catch him. So truthfully, while I like the headlines and I like being gassed up like this, I was just doing my job. Timmy, what do you think about that quote right there?
It seems as if Logan Paul is really figuring this whole thing out. This whole wrestling persona, right? Look, he's been in so many different things, and he's had success in a lot of other avenues, and just from just his self-awareness, right? That perspective, it's gratifying to see him really give kudos to the other guy in the ring, because like as we talk about all the time, Tom, it's a duo, it's a dance essentially in that ring, right? You guys are working together to put on a show, and then on top of that, we find out that Rey Mysterio is now out with a knee injury. So could that have had an impact on the match too as well? You never know, but it's really impressive to see, because like, look, this isn't back in the day wrestling, right? Like
right.
Everyone now, it's pretty interesting how wrestling is viewed. Like you have wrestlers who have their wrestling persona, right? And then they go on social media and they do these things where they talk about the matches, which like we never got before. Like you saw Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan back in the day, and you got what was in the ring, what they did in interviews. All of their interviews on television were as their character. And here, we see a guy who's really giving us an explanation on what really happened in the ring, from a technical aspect, which is like, it's night and day versus what we used to see in wrestling years ago, because it was so secretive, right?
The
like
kayfabe era where you had to play the Undertaker was the Undertaker when he's walking around the airport. You don't go near the dead man. Timmy, do you like that better now with like kind of a look behind the curtain? And like, I feel like there should be a mix. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You should be doing the kayfabe. Like, if me and you are feuding when we see each other in public, it should be like, yeah, we don't like each other. But
Right.
then,
Yeah.
like, also that, like, it's nice to have, you got to have a mix of both, right?
Yeah. I think a peek under the tent is the way I like to see it. Right. Like you go to a circus, you want to get a look at what's actually really happening. Right.
Right.
Um, I do like it better, but like I think you can take if you're embedded in a storyline, like a major storyline, right? Like I think you really need to play that up to make it believable, right? Like
Right.
like
This isn't
because
like the Bloodline storyline. You can't,
yeah,
like, you can peek behind the curtain. Bloodline, you're kayfabe in that.
yeah, um, yeah. The one of the most famous situations that we know is the Madison Square Garden, the click. Yeah, at the end
Right.
of the
The curtain
matches, they
call.
all the curtain call and they all get together and we're like, wait a second, like what's going on? I thought these guys were they're in feud. Wait a second, they're all friends. This doesn't make any sense. They're on the road 365 days together. Like, how is that even possible?
What's interesting
Um,
about that is it really made a lot of wrestlers, old school wrestlers, mad, because that was, quote, not the first time, but it was one of the times where it was like, whoa, the fan sees that, this video circulating of these guys, bad guys and good guys, hanging out together. And it was like they were mad. And then when you talk to the guys that were involved in it later on, I mean, really, they were ahead of their time. That's where the industry was going, away from the goofy character, more into the reality era of, which turned into attitude.
sure. Yep.
So
Um,
one other
but
funny
no, I mean,
story, if I could give you real quick. Sorry
sure.
to keep cutting you off, but the Iron Sheik and Hacksaw Jim Duggan, right? They were a huge feud. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, America, American flag, 2x4. Iron Sheik obviously hates America and this and that. Well, don't they get busted together? I think DUI, maybe some cocaine in the car, and arrested, and it's put in the newspaper and stuff like that. Like, and then all the wrestling fans, well, wait, why are they driving together if they hate each other? Hacksaw talks about how much money he lost on that mistake, all the booking that they lost, because I think they ended up having to fire one of the guys because of it.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I guess we went off on a tangent a little bit, but like just seeing Logan Paul understand, what his role is in that spot and being able to then talk about it and realize like, hey man, like yeah, I did something right, but at the same time, like, hey, yeah, I could have hurt this guy too as well. Like, so it's cool to see him understand, what his role is in the match and be able to talk about it afterwards. And he's just going to grow from here. We've mentioned on the show 1,000 times about how his star is booming. He's rising. He's just, yeah. I never expected his wrestling to be this good, and he's quite good, quite athletic in the ring, and everyone that he's faced thus far has been a really good test for him, and he's matched, athleticism and has put on a great show.
Yeah, I love him. I didn't think I was gonna like him. I kind of didn't like him in the beginning. I was like, I don't know, something about him. Like, how you say I have a very punchable face. I feel like he is just kind of that, like, and it's a good look for a heel too. Sometimes the way he acts, and kind of arrogant and very confident. And so I think that these, like, the catch gets him locker room credit. Oh, he saved Rhea. And then
Yeah,
I think he gets more credit from this quote than he does from the actual catch. The humility to kind of say, hey, I made a mistake. He made a mistake. We were lucky to get out of it. Did I catch him? I guess so, but I was
yeah,
just doing my job. Like, I feel like the locker room will respect that more. And
yeah,
I'm loving where he's going. Timmy, we always, like, a lot of people talk about which free agent are we going to bring in? Is it Will Ospreay? Is it MJF? Is it Kenny Omega? Whomever, CM Punk, whatever it is. And the more I look at it and the more I research it, and I know he's not a full-time guy, And I think he's in the perfect situation with this United States Championship. He doesn't have to be Seth Rollins defending the belt every night, every week, whatever. His social media presence, his in-ring ability, his mic skills, I'm starting to think this kid is the best young wrestler in the world. And if he wanted to, he could say, I want the heavyweight championship. And I think WWE would have to give it to him. He's got over 30 million followers on Instagram and Twitter. That's almost as much as the WWE has. You know what I mean? He dwarfs every other wrestler on Instagram by like 20 million followers. His social media presence and draw, like if you're going to say a WrestleMania main event, Logan Paul is fighting in it, that's a big draw. I mean, the only person bigger is probably like The Rock, Stone Cold, like, I don't know. Do you think if he wanted to be the WWE champion, and I'm not saying this WrestleMania, but next year he says, hey, I'm going to commit more time. I'm going to be on the show more often. I want to be the guy WWE would have to do it.
He certainly has a lot of momentum. He has a lot of followers, all that stuff. He's a different type of celebrity. And he's only gaining more momentum. And again, like this is just great exposure for the WWE because he's walking around with that belt now. He does his show impulsive,
like he uses
Logan Paul. Yeah. And I've seen a lot of interviews. He's done a lot of wrestling interviews too on there. He's brought on I think MJF might have done
Roman was
done
on
something
there.
on there. Roman's on it. Cody Rhodes has been on there. So like these wrestlers who think he's a part-timer, these guys have all put time in and are obviously going on to a show for a reason. He does have the followers. I think he's just going to continue to build his resume. And if that's the case, and if he continues to perform well, I think I can see him in a main event at WrestleMania next year. Who knows who the other guy's going to be? Maybe CM Punk.
Well, I'm wondering if maybe, and this will be kind of, if this will be kind of, and if you want to comment on it, you can, but I guess this is the new way of doing things. When people say he is a part-timer, Logan Paul is a full-time entertainer. It may not be, he might be part-time on WWE, but this might be the new wave of doing things. And I guess it is. You have to create your own presence. You sign an MJF, you sign a Will Ospreay, WWE is going to do a lot for those guys. You know what I mean? Sure. They're big wrestlers that come in. Logan Paul can do a lot for WWE. And, I think that's the new way of doing things. You're going to have to do it yourself and then come to WWE and bring something to them. I don't know. But a great quote. Big fan of Logan Paul. I know we talk about him a lot, but just each week I'm impressed with him more and more. All right. So a lot happened this past weekend, and one of the big things that happened was in the LWO. If you remember that Rey Mysterio-Logan Paul match, at one point, Logan Paul gets handed the brass knucks by his boy. He's going to hit him. He drops them. Out comes Santos Escobar from the crowd. He steps on the knuckles and says, no, not today. Picks up the knuckles and then starts to chase Logan Paul's boy. When he's going to chase him, he places the brass knuckles like a goofball on the ring apron. Logan Paul gets thrown into the ropes, ready for the 619, notices the brass knuckles, picks them up, then uses them to knock out Rey Mysterio. On this week's episode of SmackDown, let's hear what Carlito had to say to the LWO.
Don't blame Logan. Blame the person that left the brass knuckles on the apron for him. Santos Escobar.
All right, so Santos obviously was not happy with that comment. By the way, Timmy, the way he says Santos Escobar, I love that. Santos Escobar. Well, Santos Escobar gets very upset. Hey, this is our family. You don't say that about this, blah, 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 and storms off and walks into the crowd, leaving. Later on the night, Rey Mysterio's out there. Santos Escobar comes out and attacks Carlito. Rey Mysterio comes out and tries to talk some sense into him. Boom. Escobar turns, takes out Rey Mysterio, gives him the old Rocky V. We were supposed to be like this. We were supposed to be like this, me and you. And if you're going to reference a Rocky movie, I don't think Rocky V should be the one. However, Timmy, I think this is setting up for maybe a Carlito versus Escobar match. Maybe this news just coming out about Rey Mysterio's knee. Maybe this was pushed forward a little bit because Mysterio needs some time off with the knee injury. Are you interested in Carlito and Escobar, and are you a fan of how this worked out?
The LWO. So we had this prediction a while ago when they first started this whole feud, where it wasn't even really a feud. It was more like, hey, Rey Mysterio's taking him under his wing, and they, in my opinion, they didn't really build it all that well. Like there wasn't enough between, not enough feud in between. And you said, yeah, maybe they could have fast forwarded a little bit, but or maybe they did fast forward a little bit because of the injury, but it just didn't have the build that you need for, kind of like, a turn on the protege, if you will,
right.
or turn on the, like
we
that.
We saw little things when Rey beat him to retain the title, right?
Yeah.
And Escobar was upset. Timmy, I guess my question is this not hitting? It's just not hitting, but is it not hitting because there weren't enough nuggets and enough time, or did they not get enough nuggets and enough time because it wasn't hitting? You know what I mean? WWE say this isn't working.
I think there's two things that the issue is. Number one is I don't think the LWO is hitting at all. Like, they bring that back and everyone's wearing the shirts and all that stuff. It was a nice little gimmick, but the LWO didn't have the cachet that the NWO had back in the day. It was just like kind of like a thrown together thing. It was a very niche, right? Like, hey, let's just throw these guys all together and we'll see what happens. And then they bring it back and there just wasn't really much to it. And then I don't think Santos Escobar, I don't think
Santos Escobar.
I just don't think he has enough clout as a WWE superstar to really build a storyline with this type of magnitude. I know we talked about, back in the day when every single WWE wrestler had a storyline and everyone was kind of mixed up, and it just didn't, for me, this just didn't work. And unfortunately, Jesus Christ. Unfortunately, it just fell flat, and now it's kind of like like Carlito's in it now, and it just doesn't. Carlito, last time we saw him was with at the Bad Bunny match back last year, and now he's thrust into the whole thing, and it's kind of like a mess. So.
Yeah, I think you nailed it on the head when you said a gimmick. You know what I mean? Like, this is a gimmick and it's not hitting. There's no real emotion that it evokes. Now, at Backlash, and we've talked multiple times about that crowd at Backlash and how incredible it was. And when Carlito came back, that was incredible at that venue. WWE has to assess that and realize, I think that was to that venue that it was incredible like that. I didn't really love how Carlito was brought back. I didn't think it was done too well. I'm not really in love with LWO. I think this breakup, okay, that's fine. I just don't see these guys carrying that weight like you're saying, and it's a shame. It's not a knock on them. I think they're fairly good wrestlers. I'm not digging it.
Who's the other guy at LWO?
Yeah, there's the tag team. I don't know. It's Rey, Santos Escobar, and Carlito. And then there's the tag team that I can't remember their names right now. And I'm sorry, I don't. Zelina Vega's in it, okay. But yeah, it's just not hitting. And so, I guess we'll get a match with Escobar and Carlito, but maybe this Carlito signing was a bit of a mistake. They probably sold a lot of t-shirts, LWO, and that's like what cause them
Yeah.
to do this, you know?
I mean, even when Santos Escobar, when he's in the wrestling ring and he's about to do his corner to corner move. I forget what it is. It's like a running, like, I don't know.
Oh yeah, and
But
he goes LWO, right?
yeah, no one says
No one
it.
says it.
No one's. It's just him. He's like, all right, LW, and like
Yeah.
no one does.
All
Like,
right, everyone.
it's,
Everyone. L
it's, yeah, it just
L
yeah,
W. No, no.
false flag,
LW.
false flag.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think
yeah,
that's a
yeah,
perfect segue to our next topic, Mr. L.A. Knight. Yeah.
yeah.
All right. So L.A. Knight comes out, and this will be the first time he addresses the WWE Universe since his match with Roman Reigns at Crown Jewel. Timmy, let's listen to what he had to say.
I took Roman Reigns within an inch of that WWE Championship. I dropped him on his head with a BFT, and I had him for a 1, 2, 3. If not for Jimmy Uso. Let's just go ahead and call it what it was. I got robbed. I ain't gonna mince words about that. But Roman Reigns, let me tell you this right now. Take every dollar you got, everything you can. Give Jimmy Uso a raise. Give Jimmy Uso a promotion. Give Jimmy Uso the pleasure you can give him, any way you can give it to him, because bottom line is, if he wasn't there, you're looking at a new WWE champion right now.
All right. So LA Knight comes out, cuts another great promo like he always does. The guy never misses on the promos. And then he has a good match with Grayson Waller, beats him 1, 2, 3. This is setting up for him and Jimmy Uso to fight soon, right?
Yeah, I real quick before I just want to touch on the promo real quick. I know people have an issue with LA Knight and how he's cut from like the Attitude Era and the way he talks and all that stuff. He's getting a little close, right? Like I'm starting to think, right? I mean, he drops even a bottom line in his promo there. It's like I
I missed that.
I wonder if someone in the back is like, yo, dude, you gotta steer clear of using some of the Stone Cold
If he says,
stuff.
if you smell what I'm cooking next week.
Yeah, then we have a problem.
Yeah.
And then the crowd is almost turned into like the what era? What?
Yeah.
What with the yeah stuff. So I mean, just some similarities there. But he's still as hot as ever. And the crowd's still buying into him, which is something that's really huge after that Universal loss that we
Undisputed.
what was the last? What was the loss? What was the last?
At Crown Jewel against Roman.
At Crown Jewel, yeah. So yeah, we were wondering if he was going to be able to keep the crowd's attention after he loses the title shot. Right, he loses, and he's still as hot as ever. And he comes out because that great promo, and this is their way of now keeping him involved in the bloodline feud, right? Keeping him relevant with Roman Reigns, because everyone knows the bloodline is the cash cow that is the WWE right now. So anyone that's tied or related to that, we've seen it in the past. We've seen Sami Zayn get involved in it. We've seen KO get involved in it. Now the Jimmy and Jey Uso, or it's the gift that keeps on giving. And it looks like we're headed for a Jimmy Uso versus LA Knight relevancy type match, right? Like to keep KO or keep LA Knight relevant. And he just beat Solo Sikoa right before Crown Jewel, Friday night before Crown Jewel. So I mean, what else is left to do, right? So
Yeah.
how long are you going to keep draining this cow here, if you will?
Yeah, and it's tough because I guess Logan, I mean, maybe you could have LA Knight and Logan Paul. You could start doing something like that, or maybe they start a tournament to get to a championship match. I don't know, but LA Knight's still pretty hot, and I'm curious to see like if it's just straight to Jimmy Uso and then where it will go from there. We'll see how the WWE handles him in the future. All right. So later on in that episode, they had the 6 women's tag match. And the big news of the match is that Asuka, who seemed to be against Damage Control, turns on Bianca Belair, spitting the mist in her face and joining Damage Control, setting up the War Games match between Damage Control, Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, and I guess Shotzi? I don't know. I had to really think about it. But, like, there is someone missing. We need another person for them to have. Will it be Jade Cargill or will it be the man? Becky Lynch.
Well, the man, I know, wait, she has a match next week with, what's her name?
On Raw, right?
I think that was on Raw. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how she factors into it, but I mean,
Oh, yeah. What's the, I don't know the name of the chick, but there's a
Kailani Lee or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Who apparently just keeps on hurting everybody.
Yeah.
She's a force to be reckoned with. All 5'6" of her, whatever. She's a beast. Yeah, not much interest in the women's War Games match.
Well, I will say this. I like it when they have multiple women in a match because I think it sets up for some fun stuff to happen. You know what I mean? Everyone gets their chance to showcase. It keeps the match moving. I do like that. But as far as the storyline and Damage Control, this hasn't hit with either of us at all, right?
No, I don't even. It was interesting when they first started last year at WrestleMania. Was it at WrestleMania when they first came back, or SummerSlam? I think it was. When Damage Control first came back together, and the Bailey thing as a heel has not worked for me. Although she is very like Luna Vachon-esque, like with her screaming and shit like that. It's just whatever. But yeah, I mean, look, the last time we watched a women's, we got a women's match with multiple wrestlers in it was at Crown Jewel with the five-way, the Fatal 5-Way, and it ended up being a really good match. So, yeah, let's add 5 more and let's see what happens.
Yeah, so that's obviously something that they were setting up to be booked at Survivor Series. So now we know we have that match. We have the men's War Games, and then I'm not aware of any other matches they have booked for that. I guess is Gunther versus Miz, is that on that card?
Yeah, that's official.
And Shinsuke is announcing that he's been coming after him. Him and Chad Gable will be fighting next week. I'm looking forward to that. Another match they set up that I'm really looking forward to is Bronson Reed versus Ivar. I feel like that will be a big match. Imperium looks strong.
We heard Ivar cut a pro for the first time, and it was a little
not the voice you'd expect, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it didn't really feel Viking-esque.
Yeah, why not just have him be like, I don't know, to me he looks like a Midwestern or, something like that guy, just like kind of like a Brock Lesnar, not like obviously he's not Brock Lesnar, but that kind of like, country boy that, hey man, I'm gonna kick your fucking ass. You know what I mean? Like, why the Viking?
You think he's gonna fight? Who was the country guy with the overalls?
Oh, Hillbilly Jim.
Hillbilly Jim. Bring him
Hall of
back.
Famer. Yeah, that'll be his guy, his mouthpiece, right? Hillbilly Jim. Yeah. I don't know if he's alive still. I gotta check.
But the Viking. Look, I mean, at what point can you just be like, all right, I'm not a Viking anymore?
Yeah.
Like. And then what happens to Valhalla? It's just like, I think we're over the Viking gimmick. Yeah, if this is what the route he's going to go, because he's obviously performing well as a single
elite performer. I love him. Yeah.
It's like, all right, it's time to shed this whole like Viking thing. I don't think Eric's getting up from neck surgery anytime soon. I think you gotta
shouldn't laugh at that.
We're not. Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like
the Viking thing. We're out. You're out on the Viking.
Yeah. We gotta do something different here with Eric or Ivar.
Yeah, Ivar, drop the Viking helmet, drop the horns. Valhalla, you can be a normal person again too. Maybe a little weird, I guess, but
or give him the Kane mask and maybe like don't let him talk, and then have Valhalla manage him somehow, some way.
Yeah, right.
Maybe he gets in a vicious accident in a Viking war, and his face gets mangled.
All right, so there's a couple things I want to just touch on as we're going, and we're going to get to some big stuff, but just some small things. The Miz is over. The Miz is getting through. Him versus Gunther. I'm very much looking forward to that match. He showed out again this week, and I've just been impressed with how he's been able to win the crowd back over. And this will be into the talks of when people talk about the Miz being able to accomplish anything. Like, he really can. He does very well. And I want to talk about real quick the Alpha Academy. Highly entertaining. Otis versus Shinsuke was a good. Otis looked good. Shinsuke is where I'm kind of out on Shinsuke too. You know, I like his character, and talking with the HJB, it's his believability in the ring. His style is called strong style, and he's kind of looks out of shape. And to the point where if he's hitting a big guy like a Brock Lesnar, like an Ivar, like Otis, it's like these punches aren't doing any damage. These kicks aren't doing any damage. He doesn't really offer anything wow like a Ricochet or Cedric Alexander or somebody like that. And he doesn't have that physique. So that is what's lacking for me. I like the character idea, this kind of dark, foreign, like almost like, I don't know, just this like gangster kind of character that I like that gimmick, but the actual physical attributes and in-ring just doesn't do for me. Any comments on that, or you agree with that? Or
Yeah, I mean, it was nice to see him in a little feud. They kind of brought him back to life a little bit, but it's like, now what do? We don't have anything for him to do, really. And it's just, I don't know. I've never liked Shinsuke. I mean, people used to say it was such a great signing back in the day. I just don't see it at all. I really don't. Just seems like another guy almost. So
yeah, right. And so I think it's his physical and his in-ring that really just, it hurts his character.
I do love.
Oh no, Shinsuke's coming. Like, what is he gonna do?
I did listening to the Miz and the Gunther promo was very funny. I just sometimes when I listen to Gunther talk, it makes me laugh a little bit. And he's like, Miz, I saw you the other day wrestling. And you won. You happened to win.
No. He said you sports entertained the heck out of him out there.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
what a dig! That was such a line.
Yeah, he's. If you remember a couple months back when Gunther was ripping through opponents left and right, I think I called this out when he at some point he just grabbed the mic and stood on top of the announcer's table and he cut a promo. We were like, wow, like that's not like Gunther. He doesn't really talk, Kaiser was doing a lot of the promoing and stuff like that. And he's become really just an all-around champion. And it's been cool to see. He's polished himself up real well. And it's only going to get better.
Totally agree, man. He's gotten so good. He's even good on the mic now. And it's funny because you see these guys that are foreign and have an accent or speak a different language, and what a good job he's done on being able to get the mic skills. And it's not like he says a ton, but when he says something, it hits and it's good. So, some guys that are struggling with that, I would take a look at Gunther and kind of try to follow his role. All right. What's that?
I'm still pissed that we're not seeing an Imperium breakup. Like I keep on I'm like, this dude's gonna get kicked out finally.
And then Vinci comes in and saves Ludwig, and then now they're back together. Now it seems like Gunther's mad at Kaiser, you won the match because of him. I was like, all right. Yeah. We'll see. I don't need them to break up, but
they're like the Three Stooges right now.
Yeah. All right. So let's get to Raw. And man, another good Raw. And I enjoyed a lot of it, but a lot of big things happened on this Monday Night Raw. So We're going to come out to what they started with, and I'm going to play a couple clips for you, Timmy. And these guys come out guns a-blazing. First, it's Cody. He brings out all the guys on his team for War Games. And then comes out the Judgment Day. And the Judgment Day, they were shooting some shots. And let's hear what Damien Priest had to say early.
Hey, Cody, how does it feel knowing that you can beat these guys in any match you want, but the one thing you can't do is be a champion?
That stings.
Stings. I still hate the way fucking Priest talks, dude.
Yeah.
I can't.
But Cody wasn't, Cody doesn't shy away from this kind of stuff. He retaliates in a little bit, and he has this to say.
I'm shocked that you guys figured out how to even get down here tonight without Mami. I mean, she is your leader, right?
She's not the leader. The Judgment
What
Day.
are you say? Oh, you're going to say the Judgment Day has no leaders. Well, when Mami is gone, I assume the orders go to Dom. Is Dom the leader?
Dominic's not the leader because
If Dom's not, I get it. Dom's not the leader. Finn's not the leader. You're not the leader. I guess that makes JD the
Cody! I'm the leader. Hey, Cody.
Whoa.
See,
Timmy, that's a big moment right there. Go ahead.
it's a big moment, but again, it just feels so like he misses his spots and he just doesn't deliver it that well for me. Like Cody's doing such a great job of leading them down this path. You can tell it's been rehearsed, right? It's like, all right, so I'm just going to go through like the entire Judgment Day. And then at the very end, you got to go, no, he's not the leader. It should have been quick. It should have been
he paused. You're right.
And then he waits and he's just like, I'm the leader.
He goes, Cody. And it's like line.
Yeah.
I'm the leader. Yeah, you're right. He did. and no one's, what we've talked about, and I think we've sent texts on the Jabroni's line and whatever about him fouling up in the back. Even in the back on Monday, there was a high five that it was like, are we high fiving him and Dame? It was awkward in that moment right there. And there's been stuff in the past where he fumbles his words and yada yada yada. But this is, and there's been some groundwork already, but this is a big piece in the eventual turn on Damien Priest. This is gonna happen. I'm telling you, we've been saying it. I've been saying it. You've been saying it. We've talked about it. We've worked it out. It may not be working out how we have said, but it's going to happen. Damien Priest now declaring that he was the leader. And I will play a little clip for you, one last one, of them in the background talking about what Damien Priest had said.
We should see what our fearless leaders' thoughts are.
Hey man, I thought we didn't make matches for each other.
All right, guys, take it easy. Look, I got hot. I said what I said, but you know I didn't mean it.
Doesn't sound like that. But I have to admit, it does sound good for War Games. So if you guys are okay with it, I think Priest is the man for the job.
Cool, Bella. I'm cool with it.
All right, we're good.
Sounds like a plan. Priest, you're in charge at War Games.
All right. So Mami says Priest should be in charge of War Games. Priest declared he was the leader. This is the setup for him to turn. It's all these little chips that have been going. And this has been, I'm liking the build for this, and I think it's going to turn at War Games. I think that's when everything happens now, because we thought in the past, and we had talked about maybe Drew wins the title, out comes Damien Priest, and they turn on him there. I feel like it's going to happen at War Games. Do you see that happening, or?
So, yeah, the way that we all saw it was it had to be tied to the Money in the Bank briefcase, and it just seems like it's not going to happen like that. Because, look, he could get turned on, he can still hold on to the briefcase, and it could be a situation where, hey, Drew finally gets his match back with Seth. and Drew is in charge of. You could set it like Drew is the true leader now of Judgment Day if that does happen, and then Priest wants his shot. He wants to cash in his Money in the Bank against Drew, and then a former leader of the Judgment Day versus the current leader. You could go with that storyline. I think there's just a lot of different ways you can do it, but yeah, the groundwork's set. There's just a lot of momentum. The whole town's talking about the whole Judgment Day and the Drew, pairing and how that would look. I've seen some like sketches drawn of how he would look in like the purple and the gold, which is kind of, or the purple and the black, which is kind of cool. Some concept art from fans. But yeah, I mean, I feel like Drew could use a little bit of an edge, and I think Judgment Day would give that to him.
Yeah, and we've talked about in the past, like, that look, Mami, Drew, Finn, Dom, and JD all coming out and just like, man, what a force. That Drew adds so much to that group, and I think it helps Drew as well. It gives him that edge. He's the bad guy. Now he can win with a little bit of help, and it's like he's a force to be reckoned with, and he has help now. They will then appear unstoppable. I guess just the big question is how do they turn on Damien, and when is that going to happen, when they kick him out of the group? Who knows? Like we thought it would be tied in, and it makes sense to tie it in with the Money in the Bank. And I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. I can't keep predicting this or that because I don't know, but it feels like to me that they're going to be doing it sooner rather than later. War Games seems like a great opportunity to do it. Last year, you thought maybe Sami Zayn was going to get turned on at War Games, and he wasn't, and then it happened at Royal Rumble. I would like it to go past War Games, and I still would like it to be somehow with the cash in, with the Money in the Bank, because, I just don't see Priest as the heavyweight champion, but whatever. All right. So Mami and Zoe Stark, they then have a feud, and Mami, as much credit as we give her in the ring, she's also become the total package. In the ring, on the mic, a great character. Let's hear what she has to say when being talked to by Zoe Stark.
I can handle the Judgment Day, the Tag Team Championships, War Games, Dum-Dum, backstage politics, my Women's World Championship, because I'm Rhea bloody Ripley! So now that you've come in here and you've said your piece, it's time for you to get out of my ring and let me continue handling Judgment Day business.
She's the best, dude. I love Mami, and I'm really looking forward to this match. I will say I don't think Zoe Stark was super strong on the mic right now, but there's potential there.
Yeah, the Mami, I mean, she's another one. It's like, I guess the timing with Mami and with Rhea Ripley and with Gunther are kind of almost on the same, like, they're on almost like the same plateau, right? Like they're starting to really.
They kind of have the parallels. They've gone in the same. Yeah, I see what you're saying there.
Yeah, like they're really coming into their own, and Mami is on the same ship that Gunther's on, and she's doing the same thing, delivering in the ring. She's running the faction. She's almost. I mean, we've talked about this before about there's never been a female wrestler to run a pretty much a male dominated sport faction. Like, it's pretty impressive.
I don't remember it ever happening before. This is new, and she's done a great job.
Yeah, it's cool. And then like this type of promo is a little different. We've seen that, like, this whole like screaming like into the mic type thing to get their point across. Like, I don't think Mami needs to do that, but she's a force to be reckoned with, and what she's doing in the ring and out of the ring speaks to how far her star is rising, or how high her star is rising. So
yeah,
looking forward to seeing more.
We had talked about it earlier when we talked about the Judgment Day and kind of, but I want to highlight it right now. So later in the show, Drew and Seth shake hands in the back, and Drew says, "Hey, I've been waiting to give this to you since last week." Puts out his hand. Seth's shake it, and he says, "Well done. You know, you beat me. You said that this might be the best thing that ever happened to me, and I'd have no one else to blame but myself. Maybe you're right." And he says, "I'm going to do what I always do, work my bloody arse off and get my way back into the championship thing." And Seth says, "Good for you, man. Appreciate it, blah, blah, blah." Out comes the tag team championship match. Jey Uso, Cody Rhodes versus Finn Balor and Damien Priest. The match is going on. Really good match. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. They send out Jey to the outside. He's thrown outside. And from the stands in the side comes Drew McIntyre. Hits him with the Claymore. Boom. Throws him back in the ring. 1, 2, 3. Judgment Day retains. He walks to the back. And this happens. I'll play the clip for you. Look at us, Timmy. We're really coming along here.
Oh my goodness! Drew McIntyre's out here. He goes to Christmas past. Claymore! A Claymore to Uso! Obviously McIntyre still will not give up blame to the bloodline for the reason he's not the undisputed champion today. Finn Balor gonna take advantage!
Now Drew's standing there. Here comes Mami. They look at each other. And the handshake. First of all, Timmy, their music is incredible. I love the Judgment Day's music. It is a banger. Second, the HJB suggested this. I don't know if it was to me or on group text, but is this a deal between is Drew McIntyre in the Judgment Day officially, or is it the deal that Mami made with the Bloodline, and was that deal to keep Jey Uso from having a title, and then she went to Drew McIntyre and said, "Hey, you can get him back for costing you the title. Why don't you go cost him a title?" Is he in the Judgment Day? Is it official, or is it
I don't think. No, I just think this is something we've seen over the course of the last few weeks. We've seen Rhea and Drew, backstage, in the background, right? Like, we've seen this. There's been little nuggets of it. I don't think you have to go that in depth in thinking about it. I don't think there is any Judgment Day ties here. I think eventually, he's going to turn and join the Judgment Day, but I think that's exactly what it is. I don't think it has anything to do with the bloodline at all. That's like 6 degrees of separation, right? Like, I just think you got to take it for what it's worth. I don't think WWE is trying to make us think that hard about it,
Right. And sometimes, myself in particular, I can go into these things where it's like, hey, just take it for what it is, instead of thinking that there's some other thing or whatever going on. But I do love when they do that sometimes, and have this stuff and being able to see it for it. All right, Timmy, what a big episode. A great episode for us, a great episode for Jabroni Drive. If you like what we're doing out there, please give us a like, follow, share, subscribe, whatever it is. Timmy, whoa, anything you want to say to all the Schmidt and Lavellites out there before we sign off?
Nah, just make sure say your prayers, eat your vitamins, go to bed at a decent time. Don't wind up on the list.
I love it. For Timothy Schmidt, my name's Tom Lavelle. This has been another episode of Jabroni Drive. New episodes every week. Be sure to check us out next week when we'll be covering Survivor Series War Games. A preview coming next week. We love you. God bless.